a virtual hug, a virtual hug. I mean, it seemed like he was holding tears back, during the interview, and so you just kind of let him go afterwards. But how are you really feeling?
I'm not good. I'm just not. Like, he's the baby. You don't want to have, there's always that one in the family that go to strong drugs. And, you always grow up and be like, you're going to have your kids like this and like that. Who wants to grow up and their kids is out there on some type of drugs and out there in the streets like that? Like,
What's up, YouTube? Man, it looks like things are heating up for summer 23. So stay tapped in. Now back to the content.
What's up, YouTube? Atlanta Street Interviews out here with an update. So, guys, this is the update that you have all been waiting for. We have heard from, obviously Josiah about his mom. We've heard from his dad about the whole situation, including his mom. And so now we have Josiah's mom, Alice. How you doing today?
I'm okay, just not too pleased.
Okay, what's going on? What are you not too pleased with?
Just the whole ordeal. I just feel like, you know, I've been out here looking for Josiah ever since he left. Josiah is supposed to be on 7 different medications. When we left Columbus, Ohio, we was running from James. That's why I was so furious about everything. That's why I was snapping because I'm like, he was making it like he's this innocent person when everything revolves around James.
Okay, well, I mean, let's just, I guess, start from the beginning. Like, so okay, well, let's just piggyback from what you just said. So, what is it that you feel like, you say everything starts with James. Um,
I
how?
was incarcerated. Let's go from there. Yeah, the first beginning. I was incarcerated for years, for 10 years at the most.
Okay,
James
so
had.
just to get everybody caught up, right? So, we're talking about now. We're going back to when Josias was born. Okay,
Hmm.
first of all, how did by the way, how old are you?
I'm 41.
41. Okay, so me and you were pretty much, the same age. We're close to the same age. And so, how did you and James meet?
It was when he was in college. We was both around that time in college. I wasn't in college, but he was.
Okay, and so where was this? What state or whatever?
It was in Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay, wow, West Virginia. Okay, okay,
Hmm.
okay. So you guys met college age. He's in college. You're not, and you guys link up. How long did y'all date before you got pregnant?
At least like 4 or 5 years.
4 or
And then
5
I got
years?
and then I got pregnant. And then when I got pregnant is when the problems started, when the abuse started, when all of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde came out.
Okay, okay. Um, I guess so. I guess that kind of has shocked me, right? Because um, if I'm doing just the quick math in my head, and I know that you have a older son as well. How many years older than Josias is he?
Well, he's 28 right now, so it's eight
Okay, so
years.
he's quite a few years older than Josias.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, you must have had him when you was like 13 or 14?
14,
14?
correct.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so and who was taking care of him at the time? Was it you or was it like your parents?
No, I had Keyshawn the whole time.
Okay, so you had him. And so the whole time that you and James was dating, you had Keyshawn. How was his relationship with Keyshawn?
Still trying to focus on the music and put him in football, which Keyshawn is that's not the type of kid he is. He's a skateboard kid. He's
Well, I mean, but
into.
when he was young or whatever, I'm
I
just trying
mean,
to figure.
he
Was
worked.
James like
He
being active and trying to be
No, of
like a
course
good
not. Of
stepdad?
course not. No, of course not. When you're a stepdad, you act different. When it's your child, you act different.
Okay, so I get it. And so, long story short, eventually y'all were dating. So, I mean, y'all were dating for a good minute, and eventually you got pregnant with Josias. And so, you're saying that up to this point, he was acting like a great guy. James was.
Like a great guy, like it was just, church going boy, played the piano.
Okay, okay. And so, what happened? Like when you got pregnant, what happened?
James has mental issues himself. His family has even been trying to reach out to want a couple of these videos. They know that he has even, mild problems himself. Supposed to be on a medication, but don't. And I knew that dating him, but I didn't judge him. I mean, it didn't take from him too much. Basically, I was the workaholic. I worked all the time. Sometimes I went down the road where I had to do a couple of schemes just to make my money and make ends meet, make sure he finished college, make sure the bills is paid because James couldn't keep a job. So I'm just like gonna keep it 100 with you. At the
And
end of the
so, and
day,
so, we're talking about the schemes and things like that. Are these the reasons why you ended up in prison or whatever?
no, it wasn't no schemes. If I would have never saved James, he would have been the one incarcerated.
So, what'd you
I
end up
took his
incarcerated?
charge.
What? Say that again.
I took his charge.
And that's how you ended up incarcerated?
And that's how I ended up incarcerated.
Well,
Couple of
okay.
other money screams, but that's no here, no there.
Well,
Like
here's the
the
thing.
main
That's
focus,
actually very material to the story because your missing for those years is kind of one of the cruxes of this whole thing, right? And so let me dive a little bit deeper into that if you don't mind. I mean, if so at that point you had already had Josias or was you pregnant with him or what was
I
the
had
deal?
already had Josias.
Okay, so you already had Josias. How old was Josias when you went to prison?
Josias was 3.
3 years old?
When he was 3, he went to his grandparents, and his grandparents even tried to get custody of Josias, but could not. He didn't even go to James. When got incarcerated, James came to the court hearing as if he was going to be this great father, and he's coming to get his son, and they're not taking him to foster care. No, meanwhile, we're already separated.
So he
So
was
he didn't. So that was his in his mind. He was thinking Josias was going to foster care, and he wasn't. They already knew that he had a father. He had other family, so they was reaching out to people. But he
so
came
so
like he was
so
going
if
to do
if
this.
but I guess I'm trying to understand because if you guys wasn't together, right? It sounds like at that point you guys were not a couple. Why did you
Well, he
take the
wasn't
charge?
because he's my son's father, and at that time I was young and dumb. So I mean, everybody makes mistakes. There's
How
no
long had y'all been
explanation on
broken up
that.
at that point though? Because it sounds like it was
It
for like
was
a
fresh. It wasn't for a year. It was really fresh. Josiah's, because he stayed at home when after I had Josiah's, he was at home all the time. I was working, so it wasn't too much. Like maybe 6, 7 months out from being broke up before the charge came.
okay. Because I guess I'm trying to put all the stories together. It sounds like it sounds like that you was out of Josiah's life for the first 14 years of his life,
I
but you
was
okay. So who had him from 0 to 3?
his grandparents. No, you said
James's
zero to
James's
you
parents.
said 0 to 3. 0 to 3, me and James had him. 3 from 14, James's grandparents had him.
Okay, okay.
James didn't even have him. Josiah was not even staying in James's home.
I get it. I get it. He was living with his parents. And
Yeah.
James, I get it. He was a young man, so he was still trying to, I guess, establish himself and da da da. I got you.
No, yeah, at the time, and the same girlfriend that he's with was the same girlfriend he was with around that time, and she didn't want a man with children. Him and her and James don't have kids together. So it goes back to her as well.
Hmm. So how do you know that she didn't want, a man with kids or whatever?
When I came home to fight for rights for custody, or even just to see my son, or however they wanted to do it, that's when I found out that she made her statement saying that she didn't even want, a man dealing with no baby mama. She ain't got no kids. She didn't want to deal with no kids. She don't want kids.
So she doesn't have any kids.
No, she don't. They still don't have no kids.
I get it. I get it. Okay, so I guess some people are gonna kind of whatever about the whole locked up thing, but I mean that's neither here nor there. You say
I
that
ain't worried. I'm
basically.
not worried about that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
everybody has their
obviously.
ups and downs. Everybody work. Everybody that been to jail. Shit happens.
Okay, so you went to jail for a little over a decade.
Hmm.
And so what happened when you came back out?
When I came back out, I got up with James's mother and his step grandfather, and I wanted to get see my son. Period. What mother would not come home from prison and want to get to their kids? I'm probably a selling few. But I came home. I won custody of Keyshawn. Keyshawn at the time was 15, 16 when I got him first, and then I went to go fight for custody of Josias. Josias, when I seen him, he was devastated. He was distraught. He was already on medication at this time because he already got diagnosed for what he's going through.
So
And the
he had already received the mental illness diagnosis at this point. As well.
exactly. Already
Okay.
received it, already was taking like 7 different medications.
Hmm. So okay. And so what ended up happening?
Me and the grandparents went to court. I won the case. They found some foundings of abuse and some neglect. They found some foundings with James's girlfriend. The grandparents lost their rights. James lost his rights. He came home to me. After that, all hell broke loose. It was more or less he was stalking us everywhere Josias went. He couldn't get a break. That was the whole reason why we moved to Atlanta was to get away from James. So Josias can actually have a decent type of life. But then when he got out there to Atlanta, we stayed right there in Buckhead. Him and his friends for the first time. I'm trusting him. I'm trusting him. That's why I say maybe it's my fault for letting my son that's on medication branch out and be a kid sometimes. Like he was just still a kid. But I mean, he was going to school with these kids. And this is around 16, 17. Before he turned 18, I let him have an 18th birthday party. After that 18th
Is this
birthday
here?
party,
Is this here in Atlanta or are we still in
yes,
Ohio at this
that
point?
was here in this was
So so
that was
he
there in
so
Atlanta.
so he went to high school here in Atlanta.
He didn't go to it, this is around the still COVID time, so they were still on the computers. He didn't go into a high school. He was on the computer in Buckhead at what is that darn school called? Anyway, he was
Why'd
with
y'all
his
move to
cousin
Buckhead? That's like the most expensive community in Atlanta.
because that's where our family was staying at, and at the time we was staying with them.
Okay, so you went to go stay with family. Who? Who, by the way?
I'm not going to disclose her name.
No. I'm not asking for names or anything. I just want to know how they're related to you. Like,
They're related to me by first cousins. Her
okay,
mama
so
and
these
yeah,
are your first cousins. So
yes,
he has first cousins here in Atlanta.
he does.
Well, why
But
haven't they reached
Josias,
out?
well, hey, when you have a 18-year-old that's went out there in the world and that's got with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things, and you invite them in a couple of times to your home and they didn't stole from you or they didn't cause some kind of ruckus over at your house, they're not going to let him back in. They got 5 other small children they got to look after. No one, the world doesn't revolve around Josias. Can't nobody
Well,
stop what they're doing with their kids to take
well,
Josias in.
listen. I get that, but I mean, there's levels to things, right?
It is, it is,
I don't
it is
listen.
a
I don't
level.
take him into my house or anything like that to stay. But if he needs to take a quick shower, just kind of come up out the streets just for a second, or anything like that,
Oh, he could do that. He could do
okay.
that, but Josiah steals
Well,
out
he's
of his
never stolen
family's
anything
house.
from me. He's been in my car several times, been in my house several times. He's
Well, that
never
was her
stolen
main
anything from me.
concern. He ain't never stole from my house, from our house. He's never done it, but that's what was stressed to me that Josiah was doing at their house.
Okay, I get it. I
So,
get it.
I mean, there's nothing that I can do when that's their house. And I'm not about to be traveling all over the world chasing Josiah. I'm disabled. I'm sitting here working from home. I have surgeries coming up. I have serious things that's going on with me that I have to have surgery for. My first surgery, well, second surgery, is August 14th. Josias even knows about these surgeries before he got further like bad off in them streets. But there's several times that I've came and said, "Let's go." Doors always open. Well, I'm not coming in unless my girlfriend comes.
that
If I'm
that
if
sounds
I'm
like
too sick,
Josias.
if I'm
That
too
sounds like
sickly
Josias.
coming home off of anesthesia, I'm not letting everybody in my house.
I get
Josias
that.
will have everybody up in my house.
So, do you live in Atlanta?
No, I don't. I told Josias we're moving. We have a house. Our house is ready. I'm staying here. I want to do my music career. You can't force me to go. Then that's when we got into a dispute. It's when I was leaving. I've came back to Atlanta 3 times for Josias, and he refuses. He called the police on me 2 times. They told me if I come back that they'll have to arrest me because if he doesn't want to go, they cannot force him.
So I mean, let's talk about that, right? Where did you guys' relationship go left?
When I wanted to leave Atlanta, when James came and wanted
So
to.
so so let me ask about that because it sounds to me like at some points he was going back and forth between you and James. So sometime during his teenage years,
When he turned 18, no, there was no sometimes of the teenage years because when I came home about 16, about 15, 16, when the whole court hearings got, Josias was removed from out of the grandparents' home and he was placed in a facility. And in that facility, he had to go through this program until the court hearings was over. Josias came straight home to me, and then we immediately
what
left
was he
Columbus.
like? What was he like when he came
When
from
he
that
came home with
facility?
me, he was
Because
sober. He didn't have no drugs. He was on his medicines. Now he took a lot of serious medicines that will lead to, later on in life if they don't want to take it to another,
addictions, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
addiction.
he
So
said he specifically said that you gave him crack at 15.
never. I never gave him. No, at 15, he was in a facility. He wasn't with James nor me, no nobody. He was in the facility with CPS in Columbus, Ohio. And no one in the whole entire family does that type of drug. If they do, they're not in our life. Me and
So
James smoke marijuana. I have medical marijuana, but I've never gave it to my child. Neither one of them.
and there are no harder drugs involved other than
No
marijuana.
harder drugs involved. First of all, my life
Because I
is
mean, I think
already
that
my, my
I don't think that only Josias mentioned that. I think that I'm not I don't recall, but I think that James must have also mentioned
Oh
something
yeah, I'm
about.
sure he has. I'm sure he has. I'm sure
So
he
is there any truth to
that's
that?
been his there's none. There's none. Even on my family side, his family side, there's no proof to none of that. I don't even have it in my system. The all the problems that I'm going through far as my stomach problems, too much fat around my heart with my breast and everything being large, like it's too much going on. My breathing problems. Well, right. If I was on crack, I'd be already deceased.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, so bottom line is that it sounds like he came out of that facility, which both him and James have you know mentioned that facility, and it sounds like that was a place that Josiah just did not want to be.
He didn't want to be, but Josiah, when he acts out on the wrong people, like the reason why he went was because of an incident that happened in the school district when he was inside of school district in Columbus.
What was the incident?
It was more or less like